I gave a 3-hour presentation 2 weeks ago, and I was literally not nervous at all to do it. And I want to share with you today how it is that you can build this unshakable confidence that no matter what happens, you're going to be fine and you can then perform the way you want to perform. See, confidence is one of those things that so many people have such a difficulty with. Throughout their lives, they just don't know how to be building their confidence and they get in their head too much. And therefore, they can't get to the places that they want. They can't achieve the results that they want. They can't do the things that they want. They think that they need confidence in order to become somebody, to do something, to have certain experiences. And if you could just make the shift just a little bit, then you'll be able to really apply it in your life and be able to do so much more. So today we're going to talk about confidence and how we can build that unshakable confidence and why you can do it. There's no reason why you can't. And what we have to do is start to just learn how, and then just start to apply it and then make things happen. It sounds very simple in the end. Of course, it's going to be difficult, but let's just dive in. So 2 weeks ago, I gave a presentation on coaching and feedback. I gave it to the U.S. government, which is actually pretty sweet. And we had a bunch of people who signed on to the program. And literally beforehand, I was not nervous at all. It was weird, honestly. I was like, why am I so nervous? Like, this is like, I don't know. Like, it could have been like 500 people showing up. Like, I literally had no idea how many people were going to come on. And I was like so not nervous beforehand. And I was thinking about it recently, and I was like, that's pretty cool that I wasn't nervous. And I was wondering like why? Like, what did I do to be able to do that? Because growing up, I was not a public speaker. Only in the past like couple of years did I really start putting myself out there and speaking. And then, even like speaking to groups of people I don't know, like I never did that. So then why was I so okay with it? And 3 hours is like a very long time too. So it's like, how do I have enough content to be able to put myself out there? I only had like 53 slides or so, 54 slides, which is not really a crazy amount for a presentation that's going to be 3 hours long. And I'm going to need to be able to speak and to talk and to answer questions and all that good stuff. And I was so curious about why it is I was able to do that. And what was interesting is that, number one, I was able to, number one is I gave the presentation before, okay? So I knew what it is that I was going to be speaking about. I have done it before. So allowing myself to be able to put myself in a position where it's like, hey, you know what? I'm able to do it. The first time I gave the presentation, I think I was a little bit more nervous. I was more nervous about the time piece than the actual content piece. But at the end of the day, I was able to do it. So you might be thinking, oh, Benna, come on, you gave it before. So of course you're not going to be as nervous. And the answer is like, yeah, but like I gave it. That was the point. Like I actually gave it before. So the first time I gave it, I was actually really nervous. And the second time I was not nervous. And usually I don't think it just goes like that extreme in terms of like being nervous versus not being nervous. But at the end of the day, one of the big things about confidence is that you need the courage to take the action. Most people want to be confident when they're doing something, when they're speaking about something, but they don't realize it's not the confidence that they're looking for. It's the courage to take the action that allows them to move forward and to take that action. And that is something that is such a deep skill that we'll probably speak about it a little bit more, but understanding for ourselves that if we can take the courage to take the action, then all of a sudden we have the ability to move forward and to present or to do whatever it is that we want to be doing. Because the more you do something, the more you get used to it. The more you get used to it, the more ability you have to be able to succeed at that thing. And whether I would have succeeded at this presentation or not, regardless of me showing up to it the way I did, only benefited me in that way. So understanding that is going to be something really important. When we have to do things, we have to be able to put ourselves out there. Number two is I didn't really prepare as much as I did the first time. The topic that I was speaking about, I was very confident about. Why? Because I literally speak about it every night. This is literally what I do. I come on to here, you see me, you're watching it, listening, whatever it is that you're doing. And I literally talk about these topics for about 15 minutes. It's all about personal development. Some of it is about coaching. Some of it is about feedback and all different things. And like I've spoken about these topics. So for me, I wasn't really nervous about the content. I put in the time to understand what it is I was going to be doing. And that is something that I think for a lot of people, it's like they want to be confident about something, but they don't have the skills. They haven't put in the time. And I put in a lot of time. If you think about it, we have over 200 of these episodes out there. And each episode is an average of like 15 or 16 minutes. So like do the math. Like that's a long time of speaking on camera. And one of the things that I do when I'm speaking on camera is I actually practice. This is like the reason why I'm doing this is because I want to get even better at it. I want to be able to speak in a way that's going to be engaging. I want to be able to speak in a way that I could just get up and just talk for however long I need to be talking for. And that is one of the skills here. And one of the things that I do sometimes, which I did tonight, is that I don't take any notes. I have a topic, and then throughout the conversation, I'm going to be speaking. And now What I'm doing is I'm learning the skill to be able to just talk and to tell stories and to be able to be somebody. I didn't even know I was going to tell this part of that, right? Because I'm not prepared, which on the one hand may be like, Bennett, come on, you're not prepared. On the other hand, I want to have that skill. So if somebody's like, Bennett, you're going to give a talk today in 5 minutes for the next 30 minutes, like you're on. It's like me, I don't know what to do. It's like, all right, I'll figure it out and I'll make it happen because I have the practice. So because I'm able to speak on these topics, I'm able to present myself in a way that I think sounds normal. If you're listening to this, I mean, maybe not, but if you're listening to this, I'm assuming that you like this content and it's somewhat engaging. So if people are coming to the presentation I'm going to be giving on 3 hours, that is something that could be beneficial for the sake of the presentation. The third thing that I thought was very interesting is that, what happens if you get called out? And actually, the first time I get the presentation, I got called out. And that was something I was not expecting. And I had to literally figure out on the fly. I was giving the presentation. I was so, some would say excited, or maybe some would say nervous. I was speaking extremely fast. And I went through a bunch of different slides. And then at a certain point, somebody like unmuted themselves. It said, excuse me, do you mind just going slower? Like, we can't take enough notes. And to me, that was like, oh, people are actually on the other side of it. People want to hear what I have to say. That's so interesting. And for me, I was like, yeah, sure, no problem. I made a joke out of it, how I'm from New York and I speak fast and all that stuff. But what was interesting is that I had that opportunity to put myself out there and to get, quote unquote, criticized in the middle of a presentation. I'm in the flow of my thing. And then guess what? I was able to bounce back then. So that just gives me more confidence. And next time somebody says something, or next time somebody calls me out, guess what? I'll be fine. I'll be able to figure it out. So I'm not going to start freaking out about what's everybody going to say, because there could be a million things that go wrong. My mic could be off. My video could have messed up, right? I could have done so many things could have happened. And because of that, if I would have been letting my anxiety and my nerves to overcome, then I wouldn't have been able to put myself out there, and I probably would have stumbled a lot more. And that is something that is so important, because when it comes to nerves, what we have to realize is that we can define that feeling, that emotion, as nerves or excitement. So for me, I was a little more excited about doing this presentation because I was, first of all, thinking, this is awesome, doing another 3-hour presentation. That's going to be a great skill to be able to learn. Who can speak for 3 hours? That's like pretty dope. So for me, I was so excited about learning that skill. But on the other hand, what I recognize is that if I start focusing on all the negative aspects, I'm only going to get more nervous. And for us, we have to understand, what is it we're doing? How is it we're going to show ourselves? And even if you're not prepared, or maybe it's your first time doing it, what can we do to allow ourselves to be a little bit more calm, to focus more on the positive side of things in order to allow ourselves to see that success? Because for so many people, they're done before they even start because they're just so nervous. And they're only nervous because they're translating that feeling inside, that discomfort, they're translating it as nerves as opposed to excitement. And they're training themselves that way because that's how they've just learned to do it. They never thought, hey, you know what? I could change this feeling a totally different way. How can I give myself a better shot? Even if you're not prepared, how can I give myself a better shot? Because those, it's like whenever, like, I play basketball. So whenever I'm like on the free throw line. So for me, what I want to do is I just don't want to think. I want to get up there. I want to do my routine. I want to take the shot. If I start thinking, okay, I have to put more emphasis in my arm and I have to focus on where I'm going to shoot the ball and this and that, all of a sudden I start getting in my head about doing everything perfect, and then I always miss. So for us, if we can start to build that habit of saying, hey, what are the things that I could be doing? How is it that I can put myself in a position to allow myself to succeed? That's going to be the thing that's going to be able to help me. And for so many people, they don't realize that you have that opportunity. You have the ability to move forward. You have the ability to take things that you want to be doing and to put yourself out there to allow yourself to see that success. And I think because of those things, I was not nervous about this presentation. And the fact that I did it for 3 hours before, I knew I could do it again, right? And even if I would slide through the slides fast, I had things, I had backup tools in my arsenal that if, I needed more time, what's another exercise that I could do? But that was all preparation. And we have to be able to prepare ourselves for those scenarios. You can't prepare for every scenario, but the things that you're probably nervous about are probably the more likely ones. And the ones that you're not prepared for, there's no way you can prepare for them, and those things are going to happen. So we need to ask ourselves, what is it that we need to be doing? And I think so many times people don't realize that if you just prepare more, you're going to be less nervous because you know what it is that you need to be knowing. You know what it is you need to be doing. And for so many people, they just don't prepare enough. And because they don't prepare enough, they don't allow themselves to succeed. And what we need to do is we need to say, hey, what is reasonable? How much time do I really need to be putting into this? And a lot of times whenever I'll make a YouTube video or whenever I'll do a presentation, I'll do one of these lives based on that information that I'm going to speak about, because I want to get the reps in. I want to be able to practice. And if there's a story that I want to be telling and I really want to formulate the story, then guess what? There's a way I want to be able to tell the story. So I'll sit down, I'll literally write it out. I'll script out the story and try to tell myself, what is that I need to be doing? Because if I can explain something a little bit more clearly, because for me personally, naturally, I'm not good at explaining things. But I know if I could just sit down for practice and prepare myself, then all of a sudden I can then start to express myself in a certain way. I don't have to repeat myself. I don't have to say the words that I constantly say all the time, which I'm not going to tell you, but maybe you noticed. But for me personally, I want to be able to work on those things. I want to be able to become better at communicating, be able to get my point across to you. And by doing that, I have this ability to be able to put myself in a situation where, you know what, I'm going to be able to do something. I'm going to get called on, and guess what? I'll be totally fine. I'm not going to be nervous. And that is something that is so powerful when it comes to our own personal development, our own growth that we want. If we want to get that confidence, we have to put ourselves out there. And the more courageous we can be, the more opportunity we have, because the more I do something, the better it is I'm going to be doing. My son's starting to walk now. And with him, it's so interesting because he's like slowly getting there and he's slowly doing more steps and more steps. It's interesting. Like he does like 10 steps and then he falls now. And I'm like, that, come on, that's like technically walking. You know what I mean? Like it has to be walking. And what's interesting is that for him, he's constantly just getting up and doing it. But if he would be scared because he fell the first time and he'd be scared to get up the second time, so then he's not going to ever walk, God forbid. But because he's a baby and he's not overthinking about it, he just gets himself back up and he continues walking, and then he falls and he gets up and he keeps on walking, falls, and then gets hurt that time, of course. But guess what? He keeps on walking. And for so many of us, we get up, we fall, and we're like, not for me. I can't do this. You know what? I give up. I didn't think it would be this difficult. But guess, like, you're going to do that with walking? No, of course not. You're going to expect the baby to do that? No, just babies don't think. So therefore, they just keep getting, because they want to be able to walk. They want to be able to do what it is that they want to be doing. So how is it that we can set ourselves up in a position to allow ourselves to see that success, to allow ourselves to become the people that we want to become, to do the things that we want to be doing, to even in spite of messing up, to be able to get back up and say, I'm going to try again. It happens so many times in business. I know with me for sure with what happened with entrepreneurship. I wanted to be able to do certain things. I wanted to learn sales, I learn marketing. And it's like, come on, like I read the book, I wrote the line, I think the copy is fine, or I said the right thing, or, you know, they had a rejection and therefore I was able to, you know, turn things back around on them. And it was like, if you don't practice, you're not going to be good at it. So of course, the first time somebody says, yeah, your price is too expensive, and you're like, all right, thank you, see you later. And then you're like, I guess my price is too expensive. Like, no, like you're just not good at sales. You know, that was one of the big shifts I had. It's like once they say no is that when the sale starts. And what we have to try to figure out is like, how can we start to shift it? What are the things that we can learn to be able to help people make a decision that's going to help them? And for me, it was just getting in the reps, getting in the practice, seeing myself, how I can put myself in a position to be able to do the things that I want to be doing. And what's interesting is that for so many people, they get so scared once they mess up. And that's literally their own mindset. They're literally holding themselves back. And for some people, they can't do things because they believe they can't do things. They're not able to succeed because they believe they can't succeed. It has nothing to do with the reality of what's going on. It has nothing to do with, you know, the resources that they don't have, because it's not about the resources. So one of the biggest, you know, fallacies that people get, I do real estate. And one of the things that happens is everyone says, I can't invest in real estate. Why? Everyone says, I don't have enough money. That's the biggest thing. I don't have enough money. It's like, so get somebody else. There are a lot of really, really rich people out there who don't have enough time to invest in real estate, and they would love to invest in real estate. Go to literally any hospital, find any doctor. They're making good money, they're really busy, and they have no time to invest in real estate. Like, come on, find people. The question is like, do you really want to do the work? Do you really want to make that happen? And for so many people, they don't. And that's fine if you don't want to do it, but just don't complain about how hard it is. Just say, yeah, I can't put myself out there. I don't want to work that hard. And that's something that for some reason, it's an excuse, and we're validating the way we are in our lives that we are. And how sad is it that so many people can't get themselves moving forward? So many people can't get themselves past the fact that, you know what, maybe I just didn't do my work. You know, maybe I'm just not putting myself out there enough. And of course, you're not going to be confident to do it because you've never done it before. But how about before you start judging yourself, because you might say, but Bennett, let's say I'm really not good at this thing. Let's say I don't know what I'm doing. So, well, give yourself a certain time. You know, one of the things that I tell guys who I speak to, and they want to go to the gym. For some reason, guys always like wanting to go to the gym. That's always a goal they want to set. And I tell them, like, I need you to commit to a certain amount of time. It could be 6 months, it could be a month, it could be whatever it is, but I need you to commit. Because what's going to happen is the third time you go to the gym, you're going to be like, yeah, this is not for me. And that is what I do not want to happen. So if you're telling me you're going to go for the next month, you're going to go 2 times a week for the next month, or 3 times a week for the next month, we're doing it. And then after the month, then we can reevaluate. Is this something I want to be doing, not want to be doing? Because there's so many people, it's so easy to give up. It's so easy to just get themselves out of it. It's so easy to just allow themselves to just fall back into their routine. Of course, it's uncomfortable because you've never done it before. And if you want to be growing, that's where the discomfort comes in. We have to be able to put ourselves in a position to be able to succeed. And we do that by putting ourselves out there, by taking that little leap. It doesn't have to be a massive leap, but by taking that little leap. And if we do that, then all of a sudden, guess what? We start to build our confidence. We start to build our confidence to become the people that we want to become. We become the people we want to become. We're not like upset about our lives. We're actually really excited to wake up every day. It's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm living this life. And the reason why it's such a big, mind-blowing idea that people could actually live their life is because so many people don't. So many people are so stuck with what it is that they're doing, the way that they think about the world, the limited mindsets that they have. And we have the ability to shift it all. The question is, do you want it? I asked a question on my status this week, and I said, if you could change, would you? And that's a really big question. Like, if you could change, would you? And then we got to figure out the answers. Like, because I think everybody could change. And now we ask ourselves, do we want to change? And the answer is no, because you're tired, exhausted, it's too hard. That's fine. But don't blame anybody else. Don't start blaming the system. Don't start blaming the fact that your parents did X, Y, and Z. Because if you can change and you're not changing, that's only on you. If you want to be living a different life and you're not, that's on you. And for so long, I personally would blame other things. I was waiting for somebody to come save me, to do something for me, to help me, to get out of my situation, to be able to make things happen. And I was like, man, I got to start to do it myself. I can't wait for somebody else to take me out of here. So what is it that you're going to do? How is it that you're going to be able to break out of it? What's the thing that you want to become confident in to allow yourself to succeed at that thing? And what we have to do is we have to take the courage. We have to take those initial steps. We have to start putting ourselves out there. No, it's going to be uncomfortable. No, we're not going to be good at it. But know that that is the way we're going to grow. That is who we are going to become. And once we are able to put ourselves in that position, then guess what? We have the ability to succeed. It's going to be on us. We're going to be able to move forward and do what it is that we want to be doing. Let me know what questions you have, comments, DMs, whatever, wherever you're watching this. Feel free to reach out. Thanks so much for listening. See you on the next one. Peace out.